This is the push to talk here?
Yep. But we don't have to do that unless we're communicating with the tower. Everything else is done inside.
Oh God, now it gets scary. It's too late to turn back now. So if you push that button down, you should hear it get kind of quiet, and then it'll get louder.
Yeah, I was trying to find it again here.
It's right here on the backside.
Yeah.
Louder or quieter?
Yeah, it's better.
Okay.
Pretty clear.
Concord Ground System 9501 Whiskey at PSA flight, request a taxi.
Do you have Papa? Concord Tower information Papa 2149er Zulu, wind 020 at 7, visibility 8, sky clear, temperature 12, dew point 1, altimeter 3033, visual approach in use, landing and departing runways. Notice Terramin.
Concord Ground Cherokee 1109 X-ray Sterling with Papa.
Cherokee 1109 X-ray Concord Ground, runway 1 left, taxi via the main ramp and golf, pass behind a Cessna, also outbound from PSA.
Okay, we'll taxi to 1 left via main ramp and golf for 09 X-ray. Okay, so now here comes the whole fun part. Something you don't get to do a lot of, so take this hand, put this hand up here so you don't try to drive the airplane, and then go ahead and taxi. We're going to follow this guy. Stay on top of the white line, or in this case the yellow line.
So what's this guy over here on the right?
He's in the run-up area for the right runway right here.
Gotcha.
It says 1 right. That's my competition. They're completely useless. I just swear. So you can see that it's a little smaller inputs.
Yeah.
Than like you're used to with the sailplane. The sailplane taxiing, you don't have a really effective nose wheel steering.
Yeah, on the ground you use like full deflection.
Right. And in this one we're just going to be making small corrections because it's really attached to the nose wheel.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
We're going to make a right-hand turn here on golf. What's really funny is you get people in here that have never flown before and they're trying to turn the airplane even when they have their hand on the dash. Hilarious.
We're going to turn.
Right. We're going to go straight ahead. And 1 left's in front of us, but the run-up area is to the right. Or, I'm sorry. Right ahead of us and the run-up area is to the left.
So he cleared us to the run-up area, or how's that work?
He cleared us to the runway, but we're going to go to the run-up area to run the engine up.
Okay.
And then when we get ready to take off, we'll actually go up to the hold short bars before we call for takeoff.
So we just pull over here?
One of my pet peeves is that guys will call from the run-up area for takeoff, and I'm sitting in front of them, and they're like, we're ready to go. I was like, you know what, get in line.
Anywhere over here?
Well, what we kind of do is we want to try to turn the airplane back into the wind.
Okay.
Because we don't want to load the propeller a lot, and then the last thing we're going to do is bring the feet level. And then when you're on the checklist for the run-up, we always at the park and brake.
Park and brake, okay.
So the park and brake's kind of unique. Put your finger on the thumb, or put your thumb on the button. Pull up, it'll click, 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 about 3 clicks, and then release your fingers, and then take your thumb off the button. Because if you pull up and just take any little pressure off, it releases the park and brake. So you pull up, 1, 2, 3, fingers off, thumb off, then it's locked.
Gotcha.
Okay, and then we're going to do the run-up, which is bring it up to 2,000 RPM. Check the magnetos, left, right, both, back, drops. Carburetor heat. Turn the carburetor heat on, it puts warm air in the engine, so it doesn't perform as well. We should have a RPM drop. So we're going to come across oil pressure, oil temperature, fuel pressure, vacuum gauge. All those are in place. then we're going to pull it down to 1,000 RPM.
And the mixture, you're just leaving it in the middle?
Well, it's actually not too far from being full up. And it's a situation where this carburetor actually needs to be adjusted a little bit. So, not that I fly this airplane, I don't know, 2 or 3 times every day. I actually know exactly where it needs to be for the best performance.
Gotcha.
And we're going to check and make sure that idles somewhere above 500, which is where the green arc is.
Gotcha.
Below 1,000 RPM, which is right where it's at. And then we're going to get ready to do our before takeoff checklist. So something that's new to you is going to be lights, camera, action. So we'll turn on all the lights. We'll turn on the camera, which is the transponder. And then action will be fuel pump on and mixture full forward, and then ready to go. That make sense?
I think so, yeah.
Now, this is our number 2 comm. This is our GPS. We use this for ground. And this is the one that we use for the communication in flight, the tower frequency. And the reason is when I turn it over there, suddenly I get more clear in your ears. And it's something that has to do with the unicom, or the intercom. I can't do anything about it, so that's why we do it on this side. Now the parking brake comes off.
Be a full stop, 280, back to the east ramp.
You have to hold right here.
Yep, those are the whole short bars.
Yeah.
Remember the rule of thumb is if it's dashed, you can dash across it. If it's solid, you got to have a clearance.
Cessna 07, uniform frequency change proof.
Concord Tower, Cherokee 1109, X-ray 1 left straight out departure.
Cherokee 1109, X-ray Concord Tower.
That always scared me when they stop like that.
That departure approved, runway 1 right, clear for takeoff.
09 X-rays holding short, 1 left.
09 X-ray correction, runway 1 left, clear for takeoff.
1 left, clear for takeoff, 09 X-ray. See why they scare me? Clear for takeoff on 1 right, so... Final push force is clear, don't see any gliders out there, no pawnies.
Right, and request close traffic.
Just down to 501 Whiskey Concord Tower, right close traffic approved, runway 1 right, clear for takeoff. Traffic departing the left runway, straight out departure.
Clear for takeoff, 1 right, and make a right, close traffic, and...
Stop, or do you?
Oh no, we always stop. We're going to get out here on the big one, look right down to the far end of the runway, and we're going to do 2 checks. 1. Oh no, set on 1, so we're going to set the directional gyro 1, 1, and 1, then we're good to go. So grab it like you mean it, grab the throttle, and in a period of about 2.5 seconds, we're going to go from there all the way to full throttle. Try to keep it on the center line, drive with your feet, not with your hands, and away we go. Keep going, there we go, all the way. Once it's there, it ain't going to go anywhere. You can take your hand off and relax. Airspeed's alive, we're looking for 65. Here comes 65. The left hand flies only, not the right hand. Just ease back. Pull back a little more. Hey, nice takeoff.
90.
90, there we go. And remember that the trim is in the middle. Back to the left just a little bit. A little more roll left, that way we don't overfly the guys taking off on the right runway. There we go. Nicely done, Matt.
Be smooth, huh?
Yeah, I told you, I yell and scream and blow blood vessels because, you know, such a hard instructor to get along with. So we're just going to continue to climb straight on up, go up to 2,500 feet at 90 knots.
So they call that VX, is it?
I'm sorry?
VX, is it?
VX or VY are actually lower than that. It's just a speed that we use. It's easy for them to be. VX is 74, VY is 85.
Gotcha. Hard to see over the nose when you've got 90 knots, huh?
Kinda.
Kind of just look up there and... Pretty good little inversion layer there.
Oh yeah. Makes you want to descend down into it and breathe it, doesn't it?
Is there a altitude we can turn around and make a return if we lost her?
About right now.
About 1,200 feet or so?
Yeah. The rule of thumb is you're below 1,000 feet, you take everything in a 45-degree angle, and that's where you're going to land in front of you.
Okay. Not 200 like a sailplane, huh?
No. The glide ratio seems to be a little different. You know, the 34, 35 to 1 is only 7 or 8 to 1 here.
Mine's 48 to 1.
Okay, fuck you. 48 to 1. Of course, you realize you're going to have to take me flying in a sailplane then now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we got a nice two-seater. We got a duo discus there.
So this isn't
Concord Tower, Cherokee 902.
all that difficult.
Yeah.
You know, like I told you when we were talking about this, for you this is not going to be a difficult thing to do. We just have to do the add-on. And I need to talk to Rich too, because I think we may actually be able to cut down on the time you're required to have.
I think so, but I mean, it's one of those things. I want to be safe, you know? I mean, that's my... Takes 10, 20 hours extra to be safe. That's
Cherokee's running into traffic inbound from the north, 10 miles out of Cherokee.
0 on X-ray, no joy, frequency change. We'll pick them up on Travis.
Cherokee 0 on X-ray, roger, frequency change first.
Thanks, see you in a bit. Good afternoon, Travis Approach, Cherokee 110 on X-ray, 2,300 climbing over the VOR. Will request advisories in the practice area.
Number 110 on X-ray, Travis Approach, squawk 5220, stay altitude.
5220, 2,500.
now you want me to level off and throttle back here?
Number 96 Hotel, squawk 45.
Go ahead, just push the nose over first.
Okay.
And what we're going to do is we're going to kind of put the airplane on step.
Number 09 X-ray, ready to contact over.
What's that mean?
VOR traffic, 3 o'clock, 5 miles southwestbound, altitude indicates 2,400.
Down inside 09 X-ray, we're looking.
07 uniform contact.
If you try to pull the power back and then climb in to your final altitude, you kind of like take forever. But now see, we're 200 foot high. If I push the nose over and I let the airplane start to accelerate, now I'm going to accelerate down into my speed and into my altitude. The airplane doesn't have to work as hard.
Disregard traffic, no longer observed.
Thank you, 939.
Number 09 X-ray traffic, 3 o'clock, 4 miles north southwestbound, altitude indicates 2,400, appears inbound for Concord.
09 X-ray, still looking no joy.
Where's the traffic supposed to be?
3 o'clock.
Travis, Bonanza 9017.
But with Travis, which is right in front of us, we never trust them. So we're always constantly scared.
17 Quebec.
There's 300 feet below us though, so.
32, good afternoon.
Okay, so at this point, just add a little power, and we're just going to go up to 3,000. Get out of their way. And we can do that at whatever speed we're currently at. Now here's where things
Number
change.
09 X-ray traffic, no factor.
09 X-ray, thanks. Here's where things change in powered airplanes. You actually have the ability to have power and climb away.
Climb wherever you want?
Absolutely, wherever you want to go. But notice we didn't have to do a whole lot of stuff here. We just added power, and we get a nice little climb out of it. So you're going to start to see right off the bat that everything here that you've learned to fly about pitch and all that fun stuff is excellent. But now we add in that other factor, which is going to be having the ability to pull power. So now you're going to set it somewhere close to about the same RPM we had. The RPM gauge is down there, but we do a lot of this by sound. Listening and feeling the airplane is pretty huge. Getting used to that factor. So now what I want you to do is pull the power back more. Down, it's going to be down probably around 1,500, but what I'm actually listening for is where the airplane will tell you I can't fly at this altitude. So a little more. Hear that change up? It kind of got quiet. If I don't do anything, now just kind of relax and don't do anything at all. See my nose below the horizon?
Yeah.
And I'm descending.
Yeah. I guess I can pull back, but it's going to slow down a lot.
Right, so pitch controls your airspeed, and power controls your altitude.
What airspeed do we want to fly right now?
Whatever you want. Give me a turn to the right. Level me back at 2,500 feet when we come back around. Oh my God, I love this. This is going to be so easy.
Bird down there.
This is going to be so easy. It's not funny. Go out towards the Antioch Bridge over there. Add a little power though, that'll keep us there. Now, you've got the sailplane mentality, which is got some major control movements. You don't want to scare the people in the back when you start taking people flying power. So think about not spilling the wine. And your input's going to be a little bit different. But what I was going, oh my God, about? As soon as you started to turn, before you started to turn, you stepped on the rudders. I wish I could teach that to my students right off the bat. So we're way ahead of the game. You know what the rudders are all about. Yay!
Yeah. It's funny, it's heavier though, the rudders. The rudder's heavy. I mean, the ailerons are nice and light.
Well, the other thing though is that you're used to rudders that are another 6 or 8 feet behind these.
Yeah.
Because there's so much, the sailplanes are much longer coupled. And these aren't. And the other thing is the spiraling slipstream is going this way around the airplane and pushing on the rudder.
Yeah. 8 miles north and westbound, I'll indicate 6,500.
So that makes it more difficult to manipulate the rudders.
500, no joy. And keep me advised if you would. Thank you.
17 Quebec, Wilco, contact approach 126.6.
Oh, is it as difficult as you thought it was going to be?
No, I mean, there's a lot to absorb, that's for sure. Just kind of with the, there's more workload, there's more to manage. And you got the radio and, the stick and rudder stuff, or the, I guess.
Yeah, stick and rudder. We call it stick and rudder.
All right. Stick and rudder stuff does not seem that hard.
What I told you what's pretty funny is, you were like, I don't know how the transitions could be, but once you grab it in your hand, it still does the same thing as the stick does in the airplane.
Yeah.
It just kind of has different movement, but for all intents and purposes, you already know which way it goes. Pull back, the houses get smaller. Push forward, the houses get bigger.
Yeah.
It's not real difficult to do. Look, you're right on altitude, right on airspeed. We're all good.
Yeah, the actual flying part does not seem that hard. The stick and rudder stuff. This just seems like it adds. It's almost like the air brakes. You pull when you're landing, you pitch for airspeed and you set your air brakes for your descent speed.
So now what I want you to do is push the power up to 2,400 RPM, maintain 2,500 feet, and retrim the airplane. Close enough. Now keep it at 2,500 by retrimming the airplane. As the airplane builds lift because of the speed, we have to trim it off. And so now we're going to probably be rapidly pushing close to 120 knots or 140 indicated on miles an hour.
Yeah, 100.
So we have miles an hour on the outside and knots in the middle.
I gotcha.
And the thing that's different is because the engine's got to heft the weight of the airplane, it takes about 4 minutes before the airplane hits stasis. So you'll be cruising along, and you're just constantly trimming while it continues to pick up the speed.
Gotcha.
And you can see that the speed's going up still, and you're working kind of hard to hold the altitude, and it's just one of those things based on that big motor out front that's towing you along.
Yeah.
So it's just a built-in tow plane, that's all.
Yeah. This would be a pretty fast cruise here, huh?
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's what you're going to be doing when you're going on your cross-country stuff. And we're doing 115 knots.
Is that over the ground, or?
Yeah, that's ground speed.
Okay.
116 knots. All GPSs base everything over ground speed.
Then do you try to keep it below VA, or when you're in straight level flight, can you safely go over VA?
Oh yeah, we go over VA all the time.
Okay.
Remember, maneuvering speed is based on rough air penetration and or turbulence. So, on a day like this is ideal. In the summertime, we'd be getting like, you'd be thinking it's great weather to go fly. We're like, God, do we have to fly in this crap?
Yeah. Amazing how fast it is. I know this airplane isn't fast in the grand world of airplanes, but...
After what you've been flying, yeah. So now just keep me in a nice, about 20-degree bank to the left. And just keep it right here. Notice that the big thing is when we're doing slow speed maneuvering, we have to pull way back to compensate for the lift. And this one, we don't have to do so much. Keep coming over to the left about 20, that's 10. Keep going 20, right about there. Now you'll notice your nose dropped down a little bit though, so you're still going to have to pitch the nose up just a little bit. And the other concept is I don't have to tell you about the nose. Because you guys do the same thing we do as instructors, is use the nose against the horizon to figure out whether you're going up or down or otherwise.
Yeah.
So, this is kind of a no-brainer for you. And all you need is a third-class medical for your medical. You don't have to request the first class. So based on all the stuff that you've probably just done with him, you qualify for the third class. So he might give you a break on that.
I think I probably qualify for the first. They do a
Oh yeah, I know you do. It's not a requirement. So
you gonna roll out here, keep going.
Actually, we're going to head towards the pass over Willow Pass at Highway 4.
Gotcha.
And it's time to go back. It's just the introductory flight, so. And Travis Road, Cherokee 110 on X-rays, returning to Concord.
109 X-ray, roger, information, Papa, landing 1 at Concord. Rest of the squawk VFR, frequency change approved. Have a good day.
Thank you for Papa 1 and frequency change VFR for 09 X-ray. Good day.
That's a pretty good little marine, or not marine, but inversion layer there.
Oh yeah, it's nasty.
Wasn't this dirty yesterday?
Nope. And that's all Bay Area smog.
Yeah. So what you get when you get a week of offshore flow.
Okay, so now pull the RPM back about 200 RPM. We're just going to start slowing the process down and trim the airplane to maintain 2,500. So what we're doing on here is working the 2 back and forth. This shouldn't be real hard for you. Because there, pitch and power. Now obviously, just like when we were accelerating, the airplane takes a little while to slow down because of the excessive weight. But the funny thing is the drag takes over pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Concord Tower, Cherokee 110 X-ray, Pittsburgh, stacks inbound, Papa.
Cherokee 110 X-ray, Concord Tower, right traffic, runway 1 right, report downwind traffic in the pattern for the right Cessna.
1 right, report the traffic in sight, 09 X-ray, we'd like to put the left on request with the option.
Cherokee 09 X-ray, I'll have your request.
Yeah, we kind of get spoiled in the summertime when we get the Delta coming through here, because the Delta always keeps us nice and cleared out.
Yeah.
You'll be 100 miles north and be able to see the airport at 5,000 feet.
Yeah.
But when it's like this, it gets a little ugly. They're going to report 7 miles in haze.
That's why it costs so much to live around here. The weather's always nice.
Okay, now just pull it back just another 100 RPM and let the nose come down. And we're just going to start a descent. And you can see that just 100 RPM is going to radically affect.
And just hold that airspeed like 100 or
yeah,
something?
just don't change anything else, just let it sit. And we're going to verify, that power control's altitude. So as I take the power back, the airplane can no longer fly at what we were trimmed at. So it's going to just start a nice gentle descent. The airport's right directly in front of us.
So we're doing right traffic to that same runway?
Yeah, we're going to go back.
1 right, was it?
Yeah, 1 right. So you can see the 2 tall buildings down there in downtown Concord. There's actually 3, but you can actually see 2 of them now. We're going to go down.
Yeah, stand up when the follow Cherokee entering the right 45 for runway 19 left. I'll call your right hand turn.
Okay, so
looking for traffic.
we're going to expedite here because he's calling us for traffic for another guy. So put the nose down a little bit.
Can you say again, Concord Tower, 4950 Whiskey?
There you go.
Whiskey, stand up and I'll call your right hand turn.
Hold that pitch right there for a little bit.
Keep upwind 950 Whiskey until you're clear.
So,
Matt, this is going to be so easy. It's not even funny. It says hold that pitch, you start trimming.
we enter the pattern at 1,000?
Yes, sir. 1,000 foot pattern altitude.
Request for northeast departure.
And then when do you roll on the flaps?
Procedures are beam the numbers. So see where Willow Pass comes underneath the 242? That's about where we're going to start heading right now.
And traffic to follow, correction, traffic to pass down into Cherokee, making right downwind for runway 1 left. Crosswind and right downwind for 1 left 0 Whiskey. Call over short of runway 1 right to your call signing request.
Perfect.
Then gonna just hold this airspeed. We're about 110.
Yeah, we're still got 500 foot to lose, and we want to be about that.
Concord Tower, right cross on departure.
About the time we end up being the numbers.
Please for takeoff, runway 1 right, 46. Concord Airport,
The one right, yeah, I got it. It's a short one.
altimeter 3032. Cherokee 09 Airfield, runway 1 left, clear for the option, left post traffic, please.
1 left, clear for the option for 09 X-ray. Now we're going to the long runway, so just keep going downwind.
Traffic in sight.
We're gonna make a right approach.
We're gonna make
left on runway.
Yep, and then we're gonna go and make. I want to get 2 landings out of this. I don't usually do this on an introductory flight, but we're having too much fun here.
Gotcha. So we're gonna make a full stop, or are we gonna?
No, we're gonna do a touch and go.
Okay.
Something you can't do in a glider.
Yeah.
And we have traffic inside.
So now we're here. A power reduction first. And then we let the nose drop through, so just let the nose start to come down and then pull the first notch of flaps in. It's going to kind of balloon on you because we still got some speed here.
Yeah. What's our approach speed?
105, 95, 85, 75 over the numbers and slowing down.
So start our base?
Yep, start bringing around about the middle of Macy's right there. And then roll out wings level. The one thing we don't do is do the whole duck under thing. We just pick a point on the horizon and we fly to it. Because, you know, in the 65 years that runway's been there, it hasn't ever moved.
Yeah.
Pull the nose up just a little bit. That'll help us to kill off some of that airspeed. Pull the second notch of flaps in right about now. There we go. That's going to slow us down. Bring it back around the corner here a little more. Hand on the throttle. Red on red, so we're going to pick the nose up a little bit. We're still a little fast. We should be slowing down.
About 90.
Out of 85 here towards 75. Last notch of flaps, pull it way back. It comes way back towards you. There you go. Once it clicks, we're on. Now we're just going to follow it on through. A little more right rudder.
Concord Tower, King Air 71909 Delta is over Briones Park with
keep the nose down. This is one of the things that's going to be the hardest way to get used to is the not flat landing. We're going to get in ground effect just like you do though, and then bleed off the speed in ground effect. Like, you know how you pull the spoilers and bleed off the speed?
Yeah.
We're going to do the same thing with fish. So pull the power to idle. Now just hold the nose up, don't let the nose will touch. A little more. Little right rudder, there we go. Flaps up, grab the button, push down, all the way to the bottom, full power. Little right rudder. Don't steer with your hands, steer with your feet. 65, speeds up and pull up and add a little right rudder on rotation. And climbing at 90 knots, we'll make left traffic. So we're going to go up to 700 feet on this heading. And at 700 feet, we'll pick a point 2 to 2.5 inches in front of the wing. And then we'll make a turn to that point. That way we know that we're going the right direction without having to try to look and see where the runway is.
Gotcha.
Cessna guys are famous for that. We call it the Cessna duck under. Don't focus in here too much. Focus out there. Pay attention to what the nose is doing.
Okay.
That's going to be the clue. Remember, everything happens here already happened out there half a second earlier.
Cessna 436, frequency change group.
About 700.
700 feet, start your left turn. Pick a point and then turn towards it.
Frequency change approved, 436.
A little more back pressure, keep that 90 knots. And a little more to the left. And that looks like a good point. And then what we want to do is check back on the wing. See the wing, see the runway, they should be parallel.
Yep.
And then we're coming up on 1,000 feet, pull the power back, start your turn downwind. Now we want to parallel with the fuselage and the runway.
King Air 99 Delta, proceed direct to the numbers, runway 1 left, clear to land. 99 Delta, 1 left, clear to land, go direct numbers.
Nose down just a little bit.
King on air tray, follow King Air on left drive leg for runway 1 left, 1,900 descending.
Sir, actually looking for the King Air, no joy. We'll plan on following him to 1 left. Sir, X-ray King Air's in sight.
Where's the King Air?
Right up there over the ridge.
Roger, number 2, runway 19, correction, runway 1 left, clear to land.
Number 2, 1 left, clear to land, 09 X-ray.
He's in a straight in, or I don't know?
Yeah, he's going straight in, he's coming down. Okay, so now we're coming up with numbers, we're going to pull the power back.
09 X-ray, did you want to remain in the path?
This will be a full stop. Actually, we can switch to the right if you don't mind.
Cherokee 09 X-ray.
I got him.
Runway 1 left, clear to land.
1 left, clear to land, 09 X-ray. Okay, so we pulled the power back. The nose is coming down, so we're speed check. First notch of flaps, click. And that's something Cessna drivers don't get. Their flaps are electric.
Yeah.
So in the Piper we go click. It's just the next notch of flaps. So he's
Whiskey runway 1 right, cleared for the option.
going down.
Runway 1 right, clear for
Bringing it around towards JCPenney and the Sun Valley Mall over there. You're bringing the second notch of flaps right here.
1050
Let the nose come down.
Yeah, it kind of balloons a little bit, huh?
Yep. More lift. Just like in your airplane, when we make lift creating devices, we're going to get lift out of it, so. Excuse me.
So it's about, what was it, 85 our approach?
If you're on an extra, we can take the right, that'd be great.
09 X-ray, change runways, runway 1 right, clear to land.
1 right, clear to land, 09 X-ray.
Well, Whiskey, you're following a Cherokee on...
So now we're going to go over and switch over to the other side because we're a little close to the King Air.
Gotcha.
So just keep it coming around the corner.
Follow to the base, and we're looking for traffic, and Napa 01 Whiskey.
That's 10-0 Whiskey, traffic is turning final now.
Oh, looking for a traffic, Napa 01.
You're right there, dumbass. I hate my competition. They're just complete idiots when it comes to flying. And I don't know, you may have went down there and talked to them, and I apologize if you did. You think they're great, but I just am shocked and amazed at the things they get away with.
Yeah. I don't know.
So now we're on our final approach, so we should be in our final configuration.
Yeah,
for full
99
flaps.
Delta, stay parking.
We're on Apex,
And then-
99 Delta.
King Air 99 Delta, turn
back on the throttle.
contact ground point 99.
Touchdown Juliet, 99 Delta.
And now we can pull it back a little bit. What we're trying to do is we're trying to freeze the number and the windshield.
Gotcha.
So that's how we're going to shoot everything. Just keep the nose coming down. Working on that center line. Pretty good on speed. Got a little sync to just add a little power. That's the advantage you have in an airplane when you get to sync with power. I'll just walk it back to idle. Hold it off in ground effect. Work the center line with the rudders. Well done. I've got the airplane.
Got the airplane?
Flaps go up. Pull the yoke all the way back. That'll help us.
09 X-ray, stay parking.
09 X-ray is going to Sterling via Charlie.
Cherokee 09 X-ray, turn right, taxiway Charlie, contact ground, point 99.
Right on Charlie, contact ground on the other side, 09 X-ray. Concord ground Cherokee 1109 X-ray is clearing 1 right at Charlie for Sterling. I didn't remember.
Cherokee 1109 X-ray, taxi to parking via the main ramp.
Parking main ramp 09 X-ray. I didn't remember where I was. So we're just going to go here.
Level 62, cross runway 1 left.
62 crossing runway 1 left, thanks. So you pulled it back to get more weight on the rear wheels?
Yep.
When we were braking?
Yep.
Gotcha.
Because otherwise you skid the tires.
Is there any danger of hitting the tail into the ground?
Yeah, you can over-rotate them. This one's pretty sturdy, but Cirruses are famous for it.
Yeah.
So much so, they used to have a eye hook tie down in the back of the airplane. They broke so many of those things off that they actually changed them to this big rubber thing because they were just doing major damage to the airplanes. And unfortunately, with an all-composite airplane, it was a bitch to fix.
Yeah, I know.
If you had a tail strike, it was like a $7,000 fix.
Wow. Yeah, that's actually a lot.
And this thing, if you have a tail strike, it's like a, I don't know, $30 piece of aluminum that gets replaced. I got the airplane. We're going to park in a different spot this time. Then we go through the checklist. First thing we're going to do is make sure that we have the magnetos grounded because we want to make sure that nobody can get hurt by turning the propeller. So at the engine idle, go all the way off, then turn it back on. So we actually hear that it kills the engine. Then we go back on. Then we're going to turn the radios on.
The big fan gets quiet. keys off and on the dash. What's unique about this airplane is, though, is if the keys are on, you grab the keys and pull them out, they will come out.
Okay.
So you always want to make sure and verify that they're in the off position.
Gotcha.
And then turn them off on the dash. And the last thing we do, we always leave the rotating beacon on in the back. And I call it the idiot light. So that you know when you get out of the airplane, you look back at the tail and see if it's flashing at you, that you were the idiot that forgot to turn the master switch off.
Gotcha. Is that 2 batteries there? Is that why?
No, battery and then the alternator field.
Gotcha. And then you didn't seem to do a lot with the mixture.
Mixtures for high altitude flying.
Okay.
Below 5,000 feet, we don't really have to mess with it much.
So you just kind of found a sweet spot, it seemed like.
I know. I have the sweet spot down in the airplane, and that's where it's all good.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Run it that way.
Okay. All right. The flying, it's not hard. There is a lot to kind of absorb with the.
Yeah, the
little more workload.
The communication is going to be a little different, and you know, relearning the airspace, because now the airspace is really going to mean a lot to you, because you know, when you're going cross-country places and doing things along those lines, you have to understand the airspace, the radio communication that goes along with those. But I'm not asking for a major leap of faith here. I think this is a pretty much a no-brainer for Matt to do. With Matt wants to be a powered pilot.
Yeah. No, it was fun. That was really fun.
I think you liked it.
Yeah, no, I really did.
And the best part is you didn't have to drive to Williams to fly.
Yeah, it's about 10 minutes from my house.
So, when I got into this, I bought the cheapest headset I could when I first started flying. And I knew I wanted a noise canceling headset because I was flying a noisy airplane. So I didn't want to pay $1,000 for the Bose. So I paid $500 for this. I paid $200 for my cheap headset. And if I'd have known what it was like when I got my Bose, I would have just bought the Bose. Because it was like $300 more. I would have had the Bose, and I wouldn't have had to invested in all these other headsets that don't measure up. And literally they don't measure up to the Bose. But the Sennheiser, like I said, it's taken them 10 years to beat this headset. And they did it. And what's really cool about it is, it's a headset that you use your whole life, because as you get older, you know, we lose more of that high-end part of our hearing.
Yeah, I've got it going in my left ear. Every time I get my physical, he tells me.
They have a little switch, and it actually boosts that range of your hearing, so you can hear better for communication. And I guess it's got like 3 settings. So you start out with the first click, and then, you know, as we get older and we keep losing more, you can put up the next click. And
yeah, I don't know why. It's just on my left ear for me.
And then the last thing we do is we write down the paperwork. Here, 0.6, 5099.6, 0.6, and then the hob's come, or the tack comes off here. 4482.31.
Yeah, it's just a little more workload. I think a lot of it would be just learning the aircraft, you know, learning everything. So it's
kind of like going from a Schweitzer to the Discus, you know.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Or, you know, flying an airplane that's got a wet wing.
Yeah.
You know, where you have to deal with the water and all that kind of fun stuff. It makes a big change on how you do your procedures. So for you, it's going to be learning new procedures, pitch and power settings, which we refer to as gates. The big thing is watching the nose, and the sight picture is going to change.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is I do sailplane landings.
Yeah.
If you talk to people, they're like, I can't believe you get down in ground effect and hold off. But when I was flying the Metroliner, flying the PC-12, when you fly those big airplanes, you don't dive at the ground and then try to flare them. They just don't work that way. So you get down into ground effect and pull them off and bleed off the speed, and you're pretty good that way.
I was surprised how little pitch up we did when we landed.
Not much.
Because I'm used to, I guess the sailplane is kind of like a tail dragger, whereas when you touch down, you want to be full back stick.
Right.
You want it in a full stall right at the, a foot off the ground at the stall speed. So it was just like, it seemed like a really light pitch movement, and then let it settle down, and then when we got on the runway and got it straight, then we pitched back to brake.
And we didn't land as flat as I normally would, because I was trying to see, where your your picture was.
Yeah.
So that was pretty much all your landing.
Yeah.
But the ideal situation is right as you touch down, you want to get the stall warning to come on.
Okay.
You want to get a little and then you know you're right there. Because then the airplane's not going to fly off if you bounce or something. You know that you're within 5 knots of stall. And the stall warning in this airplane is this red light right here. And there's also a horn associated, so you can hear them. Both of you get a visual indication and the other, and that always goes off 5 to 10 knots by the FAA definition above stall. So
that's dirty. That's full flaps.
Yeah, configured, or actually in the clean configuration. That's why they give you that room of 5 to 10 knots.
Gotcha.
The other thing is that you got to get used to is that there are 2 fuel tanks out here, and there are 2 fuel gauges right here. And the only time these 2 fuel gauges have to read correctly is when there's no gas in them.
Yeah.
And the reason being is that you're responsible for checking the tanks visually. If you can visually check the tanks, the gauges don't have to read accurate except when it's empty. How weird is that?
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, cool. Well, thank you. That was very cool.
Yeah, like I said, I'm a real hard ass as an instructor, and I yell and scream and get upset. And I actually went to this place in Columbia, South Carolina, to teach this guy to fly a Cirrus. And